Hi friend, welcome. In this video we will tell an exciting film again. Now we will tell about a very interesting robot, of course. The title of the film is Big Hero 6 films, of which one is an animated film that adapts comic characters, which at that time had been recognized by Disney itself. Big Hero 6 was awarded at Academy Awards and directed by Don Hall Chris Williams. This film opens with a very magnificent view of the city called San Francisco, a combination of Francisco and Tokyo. Seen in the corner of the city, there is an alley that looks like a mini robot fight is taking place. The battle was won by Yama with Little Yama's robot, and he also has the right to win the bet money. After Yama throws the next challenge, suddenly from behind the crowd a teenage boy volunteered with a robot that he made himself. At first this child was laughed at and ordered to go home, but because he was able to pay the bet money, finally Yama was willing to fight him. This teenage boy is named Hiro Hamada and the robot is named Megaboard. With just 2 strokes the Megaboard is cut into pieces and Little Yama wins the battle again. But here, Hiro Hamada asks for a rematch with the excuse that this is his first fight.
Megabot?
In this rematch, Hiro shows the true power of Megaboard. Here Yama got angry and took the Megaboard from Hiro.
Here Lucky Tadashi came to save Hiro. This Tadashi is Hiro's brother, guys.
They also tried to escape while Megaboard beat Yama to escape and then followed Hiro. As you know, Hiro is a very genius child and he even finished his high school at the age of 13 years old. In their attempt to escape, it turned out that the police patrol was actually blocking them until they were arrested and put in prison. A few moments later they were freed by Aunt Cass, who have been taking care of them. Arriving at Hiro's house, he went straight to the computer to look for other illegal robot fights. Here Tadashi reprimands him and tries to stop him, but Hiro doesn't care. Tadashi was willing to take him to the robot battle, but it turned out that Tadashi actually took Hiro to the San Francisco Institute of Technology, where Tadashi studied with the reason he wanted to take something. Tadashi invites Hiro into his campus to show the atmosphere of the room and introduces Hiro to his friends at the Geek Club. She is a tomboy girl, Gogo Tamago, who is interested in machines and speed. Wasabi with his research that can cut anything. Honey Lemon Girl, who likes to mix chemicals to create new, more innovative chemical reactions. And the last one is the campus mascot Fred in his monster outfit. If this Fred actually doesn't know science. He is only interested in comics and dreams of something when he becomes a hero. After getting to know Tadashi, then invites Hiro into the room where he is researching. Here Tadashi purposely made Hiro scream and made his arm hurt, which turns out to make a red box open. He is Baymax, a personal health assistant robot or a nurse robot that will act when someone screams in pain. Baymax then checked Hiro and found abrasions on his arm. Tadashi explained that Baymax is a medical assistant robot programmed for more than 10,000 medical procedures in a chip implanted in the left upper chest. Different from the picture on the robot, generally the Baymax is made of a comfortable panel material and can be hugged. Baymax will stop doing his treatment until the person being treated conveys his satisfaction with the service. While they were chatting, suddenly someone cut the conversation between the brothers, who turned out to be Professor Robert Callaghan. He is the inventor of the magnetic system and the laws of robotics. Because of his interest in robots, Professor Callaghan offers Hiro Hamada to enter the San Francisco Institute of Technology. Regardless of his age, he is still too young to be a student. The next day Tadashi explained to Hiro Hamada that every year the San Francisco Institute held an exhibition of student work. Works that are able to impress the Callaghan professor will be selected to be a student. Because he doesn't have any ideas, Tadashi lifts Hiro upside down so he can get fresh ideas. It was at this moment that Hiro saw the Megaboard and suddenly an idea came to him. Hiro rushed straight to the garage to work and finally managed to make thousands of units of small black objects. Long story short, the day you've been waiting for has arrived. On stage, Hiro presented the controller on his head, then took out and showed a small black object from his jacket pocket. Hiro explained that this Meg Crobot would indeed be useless if it was only one, but if it was combined with other Meg Crobots it would be something very useful. This actually made the exhibition visitors begin to move closer to the stage to see what was being presented by Hiro.
Just the beginning. How about transportation? Anywhere.
Through his work, everyone who witnessed his presentation was amazed. Including Mr. Cry, who is president of Technology. Finished his presentation, Mr. Cry approached Hiro to see his work and wanted a robot to be in his factory. Not yet had time to accept Hiro's offer, Professor Callaghan came. Even though he was offered a very large amount of money, Hiro decided not to sell his Megcrobot. Tadashi then asked Mr. Cry to return his sister Megcrobot. When after the departure of Mr. Cry, Professor Callaghan gave Hiro an envelope containing an admission form to become a student from the San Francisco Institute of Technology. When he was about to celebrate his success on the discovery that Hiro received on campus, suddenly the alarm in the building sounded. Tadashi and Hiro then ran towards the building where they saw people scattering outside, which turned out to be the exhibition building on fire. Knowing Professor Callaghan is still inside, the fire is getting hotter. Tadashi is desperate to go in to save the professor. The building exploded as soon as Tadashi entered it. And Tadashi died in the incident. For that incident, Hiro became quiet and secluded himself in his room after the death of his brother. Here Hiro accidentally dropped the megaboard and hit his leg. Apparently this activated the Baymax robot created by his brother, who immediately asked Hiro to take care of it. But Hiro refused and forced Baymax to shrink again, but the attempt didn't work. Instead it made Hiro fall under the bed. Under the bed Hiro found an active Macrobot. At first he felt strange because the Macrobot would be attracted to other Macrobots while the Macrobot was the only one left. Out of curiosity, Baymax then scanned the Macrobot. Hiro, who was busy with his robot, told Baymax to find out for himself where the Macrobot would go. Finally, Hiro immediately followed and took them both to a warehouse that had been abandoned for a long time. There Hiro found someone who duplicated his Macrobots in enormous numbers. When going to investigate, suddenly someone activates and controls all the Macrobots to attack Hiro and Baymax. With great difficulty they finally escaped and went to the police station to report what happened to him. The police are not convinced by reports of him being attacked by a mysterious masked figure, and asked Hiro to write down his parents' phone numbers so he could call him and pick them up. That's when Hiro and Baymax disappeared from before the police.
In his room, when Baymax was put in the box to be charged, suddenly Baymax called Tadashi's name, which made Hiro startled and woke up.
Seeing the Macrobot, Hiro suddenly assumes that the fire that killed Tadashi didn't seem like a pure accident. He finally decided to catch the masked man. Here Hiro then made a costume made of carbon fiber for Baymax, and installed the fighter chip on his body, which he had downloaded.
Care of this.
Feeling that Baymax is ready after a brief trenching, they head out to the old barn which he came to during the day. With Macrobot as a clue, Hiro and Baymax continue to look for the masked man, and without them knowing, a car is following him. Then a shadow appeared from the sea, and clearly seen the masked man carrying an object bearing the symbol of a swallow. When Baymax was about to act, Hiro was suddenly surprised by the presence of his friends who had been following him for a long time. The masked man then appeared holding a container, surprising Hiro and his friends. Hiro told them to leave and after that asked Baymax to catch the masked man. But what Hiro hoped was not in accordance with the reality. Baymax appeared by floating from the sky and they decided to run away. The masked man continued to chase them when suddenly Wasabi stopped his car for no reason.
Why are we stopped?
The light's red!
And a car chase!
Their annoyance was unstoppable when Wasabi turned on the flashlight. Here Gogo took over the wheel because he was annoyed with Wasabi, who was too obedient to vehicle regulations at such critical times. After being trapped from the Magcrobot's siege, they finally managed to escape but fell into the sea. And once again Baymax rushed to their aid and pulled them up. Drenched and cold, these 6 friends finally arrived at Fred Hero's house and then showed his friends the picture of the swallow he had seen before and asked if anyone knew the symbol. Fred then theorizes that Mr. Cry is the masked man because he's been the one who really wanted the Macrobot. But here Hero's still not sure. When he was confused, Baymax said that the person has the blood type AB. Hiro then had the idea of updating his friends by making superhero costumes and their respective weapons. Here, Honey Lemon is made of weapons in the form of balls containing chemicals, Gogo with its disc wheel, then Wasabi with a plasma knife, and Fred in a monster costume that is elastic and can also spit fire. Here also Hiro introduces Baymax version 2.0. With weapons in the form of rocket fists that can return.
Hello. Whoa. No, not.
To make his friends even more amazed, Baymax took out his wings, which then Hiro climbed behind Baymax and ordered him to fly, and they glided.
Full thrust.
Here Hiro then asks Baymax to activate his super sensor, which scans the entire city and its surroundings. Baymax then finds a match and points out an island across.
Hiro and his friends decided to go to the island and landed at a building location that was sealed by the government. In shock, they suddenly shouted and pulled out all their weapons.
Anywhere.
The funny thing is that it was a dove. They finally walked into a room that looked like it was no longer in use. But due to the construction of the building, the Baymax sensor is not functioning properly. In a control room, Hiro opened a monitor which turned out to be a monitor containing several videos showing Mr. Cry introducing his project called Silent Sparrow to a general and several others. This video turned out to be a failed teleportation experiment project that left a woman dead. As a result of the carelessness of Mr. Cry himself, who continued his experiment and did not inform him of the instability that occurred in his teleportation machine. As a result of the accident, the island and the laboratory were closed by the government. Not long after, from behind, the masked man appeared and attacked them. Hiro asked his friends to take the transmitter controller Macrobot behind the man's mask. Their hard work was successful. After Hiro threw his enemy and made his mask fall, Hiro immediately took it, and it turned out that the person behind the mask was Professor Callahan. This professor turned out to be safe from a fire after Hiro's Macrobot was stolen by him.
Knowing Tadashi died in vain, Hiro is angry and orders Baymax to kill Professor Callahan. Then Hiro opened for access, then took the Baymax maintenance chip and threw it. Instantly turns Baymax into a killing machine targeting Professor Callahan. Here Hiro's friends immediately prevent Baymax but failed repeatedly. In the end, Honey Lemon inserts Baymax's treatment chip and makes it back to normal. Here Professor Callahan immediately took the mask off of Hiro's hand and fled with the Magcrobot. Hiro is angry and disappointed with his friends who prevent Baymax from capturing Professor Callahan. He and Baymax immediately went home to repair the Baymax scanner sensor that had been damaged. After repairing Baymax scanner, Hiro tried to open his nurse chip again, but blocked by Baymax. Baymax tries to calm Hiro by showing a video about Tadashi's test of Baymax, which has failed many times, and keep trying and until finally succeeded.
Say, big guy.
I am Baymax, your personal health.
It works! Oh, work!
Seeing Tadashi's efforts in creating Baymax made Hiro realize that killing Professor Callahan wasn't really what Tadashi asked for. Here Hiro's friends finally come and promise Hiro to help catch Professor Callahan in the right way. Then Lemon returned to show the video they had not finished watching in the laboratory earlier. In the video they finally find out that the test pilot who was trapped and became a victim of the teleportation portal is the son of Professor Callahan. They also conclude that Professor Callahan wants revenge on Mr. Cry for the death of his daughter. One sunny morning in a building, Mr. Cry was making a speech at the opening of his factory. But not long ago suddenly thousands of macrobots appeared from the top of the building, which made the guests present scatter. Professor Callahan, who controls the Macrobot, then catches Mr. Cry and also raises the teleportation machine to the top of the building. To unite it and then support it so that the machine is active, slowly the objects around it begin to be sucked and enter the portal. This is done by Professor Callahan as a form of revenge, in the same way as his son being sucked into the portal. Hiro and his friends finally arrive and try to prevent Professor Callahan from going any further. Because of his burning revenge due to the loss of his daughter, the professor ignored Hiro and immediately attacked them. After going through a fairly tiring battle, Hiro finds a way to defeat Professor Callahan by giving all the macrobots sucked into the portal.
Suit! A little spin! And that's it!
Lemon finally throws his chemical ball and Fred shoots fire, causing a lot of smoke and restricting the professor's vision. This makes Professor Callahan not realize that Hiro's friends are destroying the macrobots from below so that they can all be sucked into the portal. Baymax then takes his mask and destroys it so that all the macrobots can't be controlled anymore. The teleportation machine fell and hit the ground but was still active and continued to suck up objects around it. Hiro rushed straight to the garage to work and finally managed to make thousands of units of small black objects.
Sensor is detecting signs of life.
Here Baymax then heads towards the portal and detects a sign of life from his daughter Professor Callahan. Hiro decides to enter the portal together with Baymax to find and save his daughter, Professor. Sure enough, the professor's daughter was in it and seemed to be fast asleep. While they were trying to get out, Baymax tried to push Hiro with his fists to get out safely. Sadly, here Baymax asks Hiro to say a word of satisfaction with his service.
I cannot deactivate until you... Are you satisfied with your care?
No, I can't lose you two.
I'll always be with you.
But Hiro refuses it because by saying that word Baymax will be deactivated and stay in the portal forever. Hiro doesn't want to lose Baymax. Remembering that the time is getting shorter, finally with deep sadness, Hiro hugs Baymax and says he is satisfied with his service. Along with that rocket fist in the shot, and Baymax bounced deeper. While Hiro, who was holding the capsule, slid out of the portal. Moments later the portal explodes while Hiro safely lands with the professor's daughter, but Baymax is not there. Then an ambulance came to treat the professor's daughter, who had regained consciousness, and took her to the hospital. While Professor Callahan was detained by the police to account for his actions. Because of their heroic actions, Hiro and his friends made news on television. Long story short, inside Tadashi Hiro's study took a Baymax rocket fist and saw something inside. Apparently it's a Baymax nurse chip that contains all the Baymax data that Tadashi has created. With the treatment chip, Hiro also recreated Baymax with the worried hope that Baymax would finally be active and greet Hiro again. And armed with superhero costumes, finally Hiro Hamada Baymax and his friends can protect the crowd in hopes of fulfilling Tadashi's wish to help the crowd.
Who are we?
The movie ends.
That's the storyline of the movie Big Hero 6. How is the storyline of the film fun, isn't it? This film teaches a tenacity to achieve what we dream of. Okay buddy, hope you guys are entertained with the storyline of the film that we bring. Sorry if we said something wrong, and see you in the next video.